Hi, my name is Siddharth Varde and this is Unity Advanced Mat2 Answer6. So the first question is, what is state machine? Why would one need it? Right. So state machine is nothing but a behavioral pattern that defines the behavior of an object according to the state that yes, that object is currently in, right. So for example, let's say about an enemy. It has four states: idle, patrolling, chase and attack. So we can define what is the behavior of our object according to this four state, according to the current state of our enemy, right. So let's say if it is in idle state, then we can define its behavior in idle state. In like according to that, if we are in like attacking state, we can define the behavior of our object according to that. So uh, state machine is a behavioral pattern that allows us to define the behavior of our object according to the current state of an object. Okay, then why would we need it? Then it's like to write a manageable code. Like to define a proper manageable code, that is like uh, we don't need to since idle state or attack state or patrol state or chase state, all of them will have their own functionalities, so like they are not interconnected at all. So like that's why to define this type of behavior, right. So like different actions will indicate a different state. So like to define this type of behavior, we need state machine. Second question is, explain how would you implement a state machine in Unity with proper examples, right. So there are two ways. One would be by using mono states as a mono behavior script, or another one would be like without the mono behavior. So what we need to do is we need to create a script that is said like the state machine. It will decide like which state we are in, and then there are another scripts that are like the states script of the states, right. So those will define the behavior of our state, like the what we do while we are in that state, and where we can transition from this current state. Okay, uh, but yes, and what we do is like in state machine will create a like different object of a state. For example, let's say there are four states, right. Idle, chase, attack and idle, chase, attack and patrol. Yes, patrol. So let's say I am currently in idle state, so my state machine will create an object of idle state, and like it will perform accordingly. Then let's say I am in attack state, so it will create a new object of that, since like we are not using the states as a mono behavior in this case. So like that we can do that, and we can perform like on exit and on enter functionalities. The third question is, what are the disadvantages of using state machine, right. So the very first disadvantage would be the we can only perform one functionality at a time. So let's say like we are trying to use a state machine for our player, and we have defined two different functionalities, jump and shoot. So since these both are different functionalities, we cannot perform different states, we cannot have two states at a time. So our object can have only one state at a time. So we cannot our player cannot jump and shoot at the same time. So like it will jump first and then it can shoot, like that. So uh, this is a disadvantage of state machine, that we can have only one state at a time. Another disadvantage would be that we need to define the state machine from the start, right. So and let's say like we even then, like let's say if our state machine is too big, then the deciding the transitions and the conditions of the transitions from the current state to the another state, like when we should transition from one state to another state, that can be hard. Okay, then in while even like expanding the state machine, we need to do that, like the new state, where which state I can transition into from that new state, and what will be the conditions. So like this can be get like the designing the state machine can get hard if it is too big. So that's another disadvantage. uh, and then the taking the reference. So like since all of the states are different uh, scripts on their own, so they are not connected to each other, uh, so they will need the referencing. Like whenever we are creating a new state, we will need to redefine all of the references, right? So that's that can be another disadvantage. I guess. Thank you.